My wife said, "You're imagining things. You need help." I replied, "Maybe I do." Then I showed her the security footage of her sneaking another man into our house. I told her I was getting help from a divorce lawyer. She's now at my door begging me to reconsider. I, 42 male, have been married to my wife, Judith, 40, for 15 years. For the last 12 months of that union, I have apparently been descending into madness. That was the official story anyway, and she was sticking to it. It wasn't a sudden break. It was a slow, creeping erosion of my own sanity, orchestrated by a master. It started with little things, so small that mentioning them felt foolish. Her phone, once left casually on the counter, was now perpetually face down, like a sleeping bat. She developed a sudden, passionate interest in moody indie bands she'd once described as music to get sad in the rain to. There were late nights at the office on Wednesdays, a day I knew for a fact her company's policy was to close at 5 p.m. sharp for a team-building yoga class she claimed to despise. Each time I'd gently poke at these inconsistencies, the response was a masterclass in psychological deflection. A sigh, a look of profound disappointment. "Russell, please don't start. That's just insecurity talking. It's not a good look. Honestly, I think you're getting paranoid. It's starting to worry me. Maybe you should talk to someone." The gaslighting was so smooth, so loving on the surface, that I started to believe it. You begin to live with a low, constant hum of anxiety in your own home, a feeling that you are the crazy one, the broken component in an otherwise perfect machine. The moment of clarity came 2 months ago. I came home a day early from a work trip, wanting to surprise her. The house was pristine, but it smelled faintly of a sharp, citrusy cologne that wasn't mine. I knew it wasn't mine. When she got home, I asked about it. She didn't just deny it, she laughed. A full-throated theatrical laugh that echoed in the kitchen. "Cologne, Russell, you're imagining smells now? That's it. I'm serious. This is getting out of hand. You need help." Something inside me didn't break. It clicked. It was a cold, quiet click of a lock falling into place. The fog of self-doubt didn't just lift, it evaporated. I saw the entire landscape of the last year with chilling, pristine clarity. So I agreed. "You know what, Judith? Maybe I do." The next day I had a new home security system installed. The whole works. I told her it was because of a string of break-ins in the neighborhood. She rolled her eyes, annoyed at the expense, but it fit her narrative of my escalating paranoia, so she didn't fight it. I let the cameras run for a week. I didn't check the footage. Part of me was terrified. The other, colder part, the part that was now in charge, knew I needed a clean, undeniable record. And then I got it, last Tuesday. While she thought I was at my weekly poker game, my phone buzzed. Person detected at front door. I was parked a block away, sipping a lukewarm coffee, watching it live. She opened the door for him. Philip. A guy from her gym with aggressively white teeth and the smug posture of a man who has never been told no. I'd met him once. He'd shaken my hand too firmly while looking at her. I knew then. Of course I knew. They didn't ravage each other in the hallway. They weren't teenagers. They were methodical. She poured him a glass of my best whiskey, the one I was saving, and they walked into the living room, his hand proprietorially on the small of her back. The camera there recorded their slow, deliberate kiss before she led him upstairs to our bedroom. My hands were steady, my heart rate didn't even spike. I just felt operational. I saved the footage. Cloud, 2 separate hard drives, one in a safe deposit box. I waited until last night. She was in the kitchen, giving me the worried wife speech again. "I'm just so worried about you, Russell," she said, her voice a perfect symphony of condescending pity. "You're imagining things. You really, really need help." I looked straight at her. "You know what, Judith? Maybe I do." I turned my tablet around on the kitchen island and pressed play. It was the living room footage. Crystal clear. Her face went from confusion to annoyance, then to a dawning, sickening horror. Finally, it settled into the blank mask of someone whose entire world has just been deleted. "I told her I was getting help," I said, my voice perfectly level. "From a divorce lawyer. I spoke to him this afternoon. He was immensely helpful." I slid a formal notice across the island stating she'd be hearing from my counsel. I told her I had packed a bag for her. It was by the front door. She tried to speak, to pivot, to attack. "You spied on me?" But the logic was inescapable. She left. Update 1. Thank you for the comments. It's like having a silent, supportive jury. I didn't answer the door. I just watched her cry on the monitor until her performance ended and she left. The begging text lasted for 24 hours. Then, the strategy shifted. Judith and Philip aren't just cheaters. They're collaborators. Their first move wasn't aimed at me, but at my support system. They got to our friends first. Specifically, Luis and Kayla, a couple we've known since college. Judith went to them with a story so compelling, so full of tears and twisted truths, that they bought it completely. Her version: I had become emotionally abusive and controlling. My paranoia led me to install cameras not for security, but to trap her. Philip was just a dear friend who was supporting her through a difficult time, and I, in a fit of rage, twisted their friendship into something ugly. So when my calm, preemptive email landed in their inboxes, sad news, Judith and I have decided to separate, it didn't make me look dignified. It made me look cold, distant, and sociopathic, exactly like the man she had described. Louis called me, his voice full of disappointment. Russell, man, I think you need to take a step back. Kayla said Judith is a wreck. Whatever is going on, spying on her is not the answer. I'd lost them. It was a clean, effective strike. A genuine win for the antagonists. Then came Philip's move. He's smarter than I initially gave him credit for. His text wasn't a dumb insult. It was a masterpiece of manipulative concern trolling. Russell, I know this is a difficult situation. Judith is devastated. I think it's important for all three of us to be adults about this and talk before things get unnecessarily ugly. For her sake. See what he did there? He positioned himself as the rational mediator, framed me as the potential source of ugliness, and used for her sake as a moral shield. It was a threat wrapped in a wellness blanket. I sent the screenshot to my lawyer, who replied, "Admire the craftsmanship. Do not engage." The financial front opened up next. I'd already secured our joint accounts, but Judith has her own online boutique. A few years back, I co-signed on a sizable business loan to get her started. This was her passion, her baby. It was also now her primary weapon. They are smart. They know a direct assault is obvious. They started with something more subtle, more cruel. They went after my garden. I came home from work on Thursday to find my prize-winning roses drooping, their leaves turning a sickly yellow-brown. My vegetable patch looked diseased. At first, I thought it was a blight, some natural affliction. It took me 2 days and a call to a nursery to identify the cause. Not bleach or salt, that's for amateurs. This was a targeted application of a specific, slow-acting herbicide designed to mimic root rot. It was cunning, deniable. This was their second win. It hurt me deeply, and I had no immediate proof. But they made one mistake. They enjoyed their work too much. My doorbell cam, set to high sensitivity, recorded a car, Philip's car, driving past my house at 2 a.m. on the night I now suspect the herbicide was applied. It didn't show them doing anything, just cruising by. On its own, it was nothing, but it was a thread. I filed a police report for destruction of property. I told the officer about the ongoing divorce and my suspicions. I showed him the clip of the car. He was sympathetic but blunt. "Sir, without more, this is just a car driving down a public street. I can file the report, but I doubt it will go anywhere." It felt like a loss. But what I was doing wasn't building a criminal case. I was building a file. Every move they made, every lie they told, every piece of cruelty, it all went into the file. They thought they were playing checkers. They didn't realize my game was evidence curation. Update 2. Welcome to the slog. This part of the war isn't fought with dramatic confrontations, but with emails, phone calls, and certified mail. It's a war of bureaucratic attrition, and I'm discovering I have a real talent for it. First, the loan. As expected, Judith intentionally defaulted. 2 payments missed. The formal letters started arriving. My credit score took a gut-wrenching hit. This was their big play, the one they thought would force me to the negotiating table. I booked an appointment with the bank manager. I wore a suit. I brought my file, which was now thick enough to stop a small-caliber bullet. It contained the divorce filing, the police report about the garden, however circumstantial, a printed log of Judith's increasingly erratic texts, and a detailed timeline. I didn't go in angry. I went in as a partner in problem-solving. "This is not a standard default," I told the manager. "This is a coordinated, malicious act of economic sabotage designed to inflict financial harm during a legal dispute." I have documented a pattern of harassment. I need to know the bank's procedure for dissociating a cosigner in a case of documented financial fraud. The word fraud changed the room's temperature. The manager's expression went from weary to laser-focused. It's a long, arduous process, but the bank has now opened an internal investigation. Her power move just gave my lawyer the centerpiece for his argument of economic dissipation of marital assets. But they didn't stop there. Their next attack was more modern, and in some ways, more insidious. They came after my reputation online. I have a professional profile on a networking site related to my field. We don't need to get into specifics, but it's a place where reputation is key. Over the course of 1 week, my profile was review-bombed. A dozen one-star ratings and scathing reviews from anonymous profiles popped up. They were cleverly worded, not making direct accusations but asking questions. Is this person trustworthy? Had a very negative interaction, felt he was unstable. Doesn't seem to handle pressure well. It was a ghost attack. Untraceable but devastating. It was designed to validate the exact narrative they were pushing in our social circle. It was Philip's work. I could feel it. It had his slimy, indirect style. This was their third win. It impacted my professional standing and caused me genuine stress. It was another front I had to fight on. I spent hours on the phone with platform support, filing tickets, providing evidence that these profiles were created on the same day and were likely fake. It was a bureaucratic nightmare, and for weeks the reviews stayed up. They were winning battles. The friends they'd poisoned against me, the hit to my credit score, the public stain on my professional profile. They were causing real significant damage. They were methodical. But they had one critical vulnerability. They believed their own PR. They were convinced they were the sophisticated wronged party and that I was just a hysterical man reacting to things. Every action they took was based on that single flawed premise, and every action they took, I documented. The file grew thicker. Final update. It's over. The divorce was finalized last week. The final act didn't play out in a dramatic courtroom. It was a slow, systematic dismantling of their case in a sterile conference room. My lawyer, a man who truly appreciates a well-organized file, laid out our case. It wasn't one single thing that won it. It was the sheer weight of the pattern. The infidelity footage was the opener. The police report about the garden, combined with the clip of Philip's car, established a pattern of harassment. The bank's internal investigation into the loan default proved malicious economic dissipation. And the online smear campaign, which I eventually managed to get removed after providing a mountain of evidence to the platform's legal department, was the closer. It demonstrated a clear multi-front campaign to ruin me personally and professionally. My lawyer's closing argument to the mediator was simple. These are not the actions of a victim. These are the calculated actions of a perpetrator. The settlement was devastating for them. Judith was forced to assume 100% of the defaulted and now recalled business loan. Her share of the house's equity was drastically reduced to compensate for the economic damages and legal fees I'd incurred. I bought her out for a sum that was, as my lawyer put it, mathematically correct and emotionally unsatisfying for her. Philip faced his own quiet reckoning. The letter my lawyer sent to his HR department, combined with whispers of his involvement in a targeted online harassment campaign, made him toxic. He wasn't fired, but he was moved to a non-client-facing compliance role in a satellite office. A demotion in all but name. The wealth advisor's own wealth of smug self-assurance had run dry. I resolved the social front as well. A few months ago, Louis called me. He was hesitant, deeply embarrassed. He and Kayla had gone out to dinner, and an acquaintance of Philip's, loosened by 2 martinis, had bragged about how Philip had helped his girl Judith really stick it to her crazy ex. Louis apologized profusely. I accepted. But the friendship isn't the same. It was a casualty of the war. You learn who your real allies are not when times are good, but when the propaganda machine starts spinning. Last I heard, Judith and Philip are living together in a cramped rental apartment. Their grand passion, born in the thrill of secrecy, is apparently withering under the harsh glare of financial strain and shared failure. They still blame me. I am the villain of their story, the evil mastermind who ruined their lives. That used to bother me, but it doesn't anymore. Their entire strategy was based on me being the hysterical, emotional wreck they tried to create. When I wasn't, they had no plan B. They were playwrights who only wrote one character, and I refused to say the lines. And me? I'm here. The fight took more out of me than I like to admit. It was 6 months of relentless vigilance. But the silence in my house is no longer a source of anxiety. It's just peace. I rebuilt the garden. I had to excavate the poisoned soil, section by section, and replace it with fresh, clean earth. It was hard, back-breaking work. I planted new roses. In the exact same spot as the old one, I planted a new Japanese maple. It's small, just a whip of a tree. But it's alive. Yesterday, I was sitting on my front steps with a coffee, looking at it. The scars of this past year are there, but they are part of the landscape now, not the whole view. I got help, just like Judith said I should. I have a good lawyer, a great therapist, and an exceptional security system. They thought they were burning my life down. They didn't realize they were just clearing the land for new growth.